So now let's do a little bit more testing with this. I did work with the oscilloscope already just to take a look at voltage because it could display things, small events very quickly. But at the heart of this is kind of a multimeter problem because we want to know what the current is looking like, what the power draw is for these boards. So what I have set up here is I have my AA batteries that are supplying 3 volts instead of the coin cell, just so that it I don't have to worry about dropouts as much. And then I have this meter here attached in series to the circuit. Now remember, when you're going to be measuring current, the probe, the multimeter needs to be in series, not in parallel. Normally you kind of measure things in parallel. So let's turn on the meter. This is one of my cheapo specials, but the great thing about it is it's got a huge display, so it's easy to read even without my glasses. Though why they make the temperature so huge, I don't know. Okay, enough about that. It's off right now, so you see there's 0 milliamps and the meter's beeping. Let me turn on the power. And we hit about 4 milliamps on startup, and then now it's down to 0.3. Now here's an interesting thing that I found with this. When it's initially powered on and you haven't pressed anything, it sits at 0.3. But watch this. If I trigger it, its sleep is 0.1. So there's definitely something going on there. This is probably a firmware issue. So when it's first turned on, 0.3, but now it sits at a nice low 0.1. Now both of those values are small, but it's a significant difference, and that difference should not occur. It should not be occurring. So like it's getting in the boot mode, it's booted up, but like it kind of doesn't go into super deep sleep or something. Who knows what. Now when I hit the button, now we'll actually look at it as it's transmitting. And this meter is not fast enough, but if you look at this, it goes, well, let's see, it didn't catch it that time. But it goes up to about 11.74. If you saw that 11 and 12 milliamp draw when it's transmitting, that is the same as I was seeing on my bench supply, with the bench supply having to supply, because it tells me the current being supplied, and it was at 11 or 12, so that matches up. And now we're back down to close to 0, but not quite. And here we'll do the button hold thing. When you do the button hold, we're sitting at 5 milliamps. So again, it's confirmed what we saw on the voltage drop on the oscilloscope, that there is a pretty significant current draw if that button is held. Now it's not transmitting, or is it? This is a question that I took a look at this now. Is I said to myself, you know what is drawing all that current? Well, I bet you it's that big bright LED. So this may still be transmitting when the LED goes off. I don't know. That's another piece of test equipment. But this 5 milliamps could just be the microprocessor's awake state. What I would have to do is I'd have to take this LED out of the circuit, and then that will give me a truer sense of where the microcontroller and whatnot are sitting at. So I think a lot of that draw, I think at least 5 milliamps, maybe closer to 10, probably 5, is taken up by that LED. Now what I did with my other meter, with my better Agilent meter, is I took a look at the resistance of the drop resistor, and actually I have to power this off to get an accurate value. The resistance, and these are so small, it's going to take me longer to get the probes in the right place. And then my other meter's beeping at me. So, well, I can't find it now. I got to take off my glasses. But what I was seeing earlier, yeah, there it is. It's about 330 ohms on that left meter. So I was looking at SMD surface mount device LED voltage drops, and they're all over the place. But 330 ohm resistor with a 3 volt supply is a pretty low current. That's 5 milliamps or less. So it doesn't appear that they're overdriving that LED. It just happens to be super bright. But again, the LED is a 5 milliamp draw that you probably don't need. So let's turn this back on again because I want to reiterate this odd behavior. So there it's off. 4 milliamp starting up. See, now it's down to 0.18 when I haven't done the press. See, it's inconsistent. So it could very well be the meter. This is not the world's best meter. But I'll have to keep an eye on that, why it drops down sometimes and not others. Now, you did notice on the boot mode, it was sitting around 4 or 5 milliamps. And then when I do the transmit a la LED is on, it goes to 11. So that makes sense. So about 5 milliamps for the microcontroller and about 5 for the LED it's driving. That's around 11. That makes sense. And it is, yeah, of course, now it's behaving properly. But why it was not earlier is its own mystery, right? Now it's sitting at 0.22. And again, this may be a meter issue. These are pretty small values, and this is a pretty crappy meter. I'll probably have to wire this up to my better meter. Don't be tricked by these inexpensive ones. While the display and the auto thing is great, these are very handy. And if you break it, who cares? They're pretty cheap. But the fact that they say 9,999 counts on here, I don't believe that for 1 second. I believe it on this one because it's got a spec sheet and everything, or certification. But that's another story for another day. So onwards we continue. I think that the key issue right now is we drive it off the external battery pack, and I do an enclosure that'll take this board, mount it on top of the battery pack, and off we go. And, it's not great, but it'll be functional.